Okay, so we are going to get a new junk structure deck. So I'm going to go over the junk cards that we have available now and see what we could possibly hope for. Well, what I hope for, because just taking a glance at this, there's quite a few cards that we're familiar with, and there's a few cards that we're not really too sure if they're even going to be viable ever. The one that sticks out the most is going to be Junk Synchron, of course, and Junk Converter, because I think those have the most potential with the new support, because how can you not include Junk Synchron with the new structure? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You would have to include it in some capacity. So I'll be going over some of these junk cards and then see what we could possibly get out of these new cards that are going to be announced. Who knows when, but hopefully soon. Okay, so first we'll start from the highest level to the lowest level, and then we'll get a bit of an opinion. Junk Giant. Junk Giant is an interesting card because it seems a bit niche, but the way I tried to make it viable was finding a way to get a level 5 or higher monster. At the time when NIBIRU was just announced, they're like, oh, this might see play because they're gonna have a token. I'm gonna have a token, so maybe we can extend in some way with this card. So basically what it does is, if your opponent controls a level 5 or higher monster, which would be NIBIRU or NIBIRU token, you can special summon this card from your hand. A synchro summon using this card as a material cannot be negated, which is insane. So that means if you were to make XL, or if you go summon Junk Giant, special Assault Synchron, you go into SD XL Synchro Stardust Dragon, they can't negate the summon, and then the other effect as well. If it does get fulfilled, if a player's synchro summon is using this card as a material, the other player cannot activate card or effects when the monster is synchro summoned. So it's basically says no, you can't respond to anything I do, which is fitting because look at the picture. He's like, I'm gonna go through, I'm charging through, and it's gonna resolve. I think maybe there's hope that we can possibly get some sort of support for this guy, because this guy is pretty cool. But in what would it require apart from the NIBIRU situation, right? Because they need to have something. At the time, there's quite a few cards that are over 5, level 5, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue to summon this guy. But I think if we can find a way to get this out some way and not have to require summoning it by its own doing, maybe we can see something interesting happen with this card, because that means that they can't respond to anything that we make. So no matter what we synchro summon into, it's going to resolve. It's going to go unhindered. And by the time we get the synchro on board, the interaction that would have probably prevented our sequence from resolving is not going to matter. And then we have Junk Dragonlet. I think when this was announced, it was like, are you serious? Okay, so if you control a synchro monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Junk Dragonlet once per turn. This way, when a synchro monster you control declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard. That monster you control gains 800 attack until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect of Junk Dragonlet once per turn. So that's not that great, unless we get some sort of card that requires a junk monster to be banished and then it triggers, or maybe because this gives attack boost. A lot of the junk cards kind of give an attack boost. Junk Warrior pumped its attack based on the level 2 or lower you control. So this is kind of following that type of effect. As of now, though, it doesn't seem too relevant. And then we have Junk Collector. Junk Collector is mainly seen, or has been mainly seen, an FTK deck where you would mill your entire deck and then you would banish this and the trap card that burns for every card in your graveyard. But its applicability might be able to mimic what Rollback does. But once again, we need to find a way to get these on field. And I think if we can get a junk monster or a spell or a trap, or it's not necessarily a trap, something that can summon this, whether it be the Junk Collector or the Junk Giant, to take full advantage of their effects. Quick effect, you can banish this card on the field and one normal trap in your graveyard. Apply that banish trap effect. The trap's activation requirements must still be correct, but costs are not paid. So this is basically a rollback, basically the first rollback, except it's not from grave, you banish from field and grave. I think if we can find a way, or if we can get a junk monster or a spell that can summon a junk or give you access to a junk, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe we can use some trap, and maybe we can play a more conservative approach, which is not necessarily a Synchron style of deck, because it's mainly like build a board and just overwhelm the opponent, right? That's what we do. And we have cards like Junk Blader. Junk, you can banish one junk monster from your graveyard. This card gains 400 attack until the end of this turn. Like, that's not that great. Like, what is this? So unless we get something that benefits off of the trigger, kind of like Cheng Ying, if a junk monster is banished, you can summon it back, or find some value off of you banishing something, because it's just an attack boost. It's not that great. So this is like, I don't know. I mean, it's 18, I guess, in Earth, but Junk Breaker, this one has potential for sure, because this is like our Dark Wheeler no more. So Junk Breaker says, during your main phase, if this card was no more summoned this turn, you can tribute this card. All face-up monsters on the field have their effects negated until the end of this turn. So that's pretty damn good. That's like our own personal Dark Wheeler. So once again, if we can find a way to get access to more junks, apart from just like Tuning can get this, but Tuning can't get anything else. Rhoda is at 1, a bit, so there's no real way to search this, so that means you would have maxed it out. The only other way would be through Jet being able to search the junk, right? So I don't know, it's a bit weird. So if we can find ways to get access to junks, maybe. What if we get a junk searcher? What if we get a junk spell that searches the junk and then Foolish is a warrior or something? That'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind that at all. But yeah, this has potential. And then of course the junk servant. This one as of late has been seeing the most play because of its ability to make the SD line viable. The way you would do it is you would overtake this out, summon a Kashtira, right? Summon Fenrir. So 7 and 1 makes 8, right? It would make this guy. And then this guy would then revive the Jet that you just synchroned with, and then you trigger the effect of Jet Synchron's effect. So Jet has an overlooked effect that says if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can add 1 junk monster from your deck to your hand. No one really knew that effect existed. All they wanted it for was the pitch. Just discard, summon it back. But because as synchro players, we are aware of this, we needed to find a way to utilize its effect in a way where it can get us access to combo, and this was the way. You would search this effect. It didn't really matter. You could have searched either or, but this one had a bit more of a niche effect that can be applicable because you can special it if you had or if you summon Junk Speed. So that's why we always went with this guy. All you really needed is a 4. You're gonna normal summon it anyways, but just a possibility of being able to special this was why we ended up going with this guy. If you control a junk monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. The way you would do it is you go cast your Fenrir, overtake, summon this, you synchro into SD, acronym for Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, and then chain 1, chain 2, or if you want to dodge the Ash, you go chain 1, chain 2, right? If you want to play around Impulse, you go chain 1, chain 2, you know, so you get access to this. You then revive this with his effect, and then you normal summon this, and then you go effect of this to make it a immune speeder, meaning whatever sync you make off of this effect is unaffected by card effect. And then we go into Junk Changer. I don't think I've ever even considered this guy. This guy's kind of, it's level 3, I guess. Maybe for a brief second, but not further than that. Okay, you can only use the following effect of Junk Changer once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 junk monster on the field, then activate one of these effects. Increases level by 1, reduces level by 1. So unless we get some sort of junk speeder that summons junks, I don't really see any value for this, or I don't see any reason to play this. Because level moduling is something that we are accustomed to. If you've been around since Level Eater era, we appreciate level manipulation because it allows you to be more versatile given the situation. But this one, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about this one. And then of course we have our Junk Synchron. This is the OG, like, oh my god, Junk Synchron is like the anime, right? With this card is normal summon, you can target 1 level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target in defense position to negate back. So this one is for sure gonna be something that was gonna be considered for sure. What I'm hoping for is we get an upgrade to this guy where whenever it's summoned, you can summon level 2 or lower from hand, deck, or graveyard. Like how epic would that be, right? By today's standards, that doesn't seem too much. So I think something along those lines where it's utilizing its original effect but just enhanced. I'm hoping that we get something like that because I think that would be pretty cool. Because it's about time we upgrade this guy or get another overtake target. And then of course we have Junk Forward. If you control a no monster, you can special summon this card. So this is an extender, but I think we're kind of past that. We need the synchro fodder to generate resources after they're synchroed away. Because if it's just a body to synchro with, there's no real value if our speeder can potentially be negated, right? So we need some sort of resiliency. Being able to go, okay, synchro this away, this is gonna search me something. Okay, then so if this gets negated, I still got something out of this, right? And that's what we're kind of lacking right now. So that's why this one's kind of bit. The good thing that this has going for it is an extender. You can special summon it, which is what you want with Synchron decks or junk decks for the matter, because you want to be able to preserve your normal in case you do need to normal summon a Synchron, because opening Synchrons is not ideal. So you want to be able to normal summon it, which is why Assault Synchron is so good, because you can special go speeder here, but it requires 2-card combo that doesn't really play on much because it's, once again, it's lacking the ability to generate any resource once you synchro it away, right? Because if you go special assault, so speeder gets negated. Okay, so you got nothing out of that. All you had just 2 bodies, a tuner and a non-tuner. Might as well be vanillas, you know? So it's like you want to be able to generate some sort of value out of these synchro materials. And then you have Junk Defender. This is kind of like, okay, when your opponent monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's kind of like GORZ. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can have this card gain your defense until the end. So this is very outdated. This is very outclassed. So I'm not too sure where this falls into place. I don't think it'll be okay, then we, of course, the Junk Converter, the one I started off with. I think that this one's gonna play a key role with the new support. I'm hoping that we get a junk that says if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can summon a junk from hand, deck, or graveyard. And that would pair so well with this. What this one does is you can discard this card and 1 tuner. Add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense position, but it cannot activate its effect this turn. You can only use each effect of Junk Converter once per turn. So this is what we want. This is more of a synchro material that we're looking for. We're generating value after we synchro summon with them. That's what we want. And all these other junks don't really do that. They're just bodies, right? But this is a fair example of what I'm referring to, where we need something like this. Because as you're synchroing, you're still generating some sort of resource. You're not going minus just by making a synchro. And this is like one of the best cards that the junk archetype has gotten, right? It's just so good. Like, Synchron as well, because it's paired with Synchron. Because you can discard any hand trap any hand drop at all, and have combo. But the issue is you can get bottlenecked the moment you get access to the junk. Because usually the way this works is you would go junk, discard a tuner, whether it be hand trap that you did not use the prior turn, whether it be a jet, a Stardust Synchron, any of the Synchron, any tuner, and you get access to this. So in order for you to net any value, you first have to even fulfill the Synchro summon to get the value off of this. If not, you're not going to get any value off of it. So then you go normal summon this gets imperm. Okay, we're cooked. What's your extender? The Caligo, bruh. The Caligo, bruh. But no, which is why I feel like we need some junk that nets us some value when paired with this. Obviously, that'll give us access to more bodies. It'll ensure that we get value off of this and off of the attempt of summoning this, right? Because that means, okay, what are they gonna do? If the new junk card does what I hope it does, if it's sent to the graveyard somehow, summon a junk from, or a warrior or something from anywhere and summon it, and then now you go summon this, okay, now you have a body on board, so are they gonna stop this? It needs to be able to be treated as either non-tuner or tuner, I think. I think that would make it, because that means that it doesn't matter what you have, whether it be a tuner or a non-tuner, because that means if you have access to this, then that means it'll open up another play, which would be awesome, because that means if you paired it with this, let's say that the new junk card that I'm referring to is a tuner, like this make-believe. That means it pairs with this, and then whenever that card is sent to the graveyard, let's say you can summon it and then summon a warrior from hand deck or graveyard, and that makes it so where you're not going minus, you're going plus, because that means it gives you the resiliency that I was referring to. Because if you don't have that available, that means you go effective this, okay, discard it to Synchron, add this, summon the impermanence, okay, now we're cooked. But if we have the junk that says if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can summon it and then summon back level 2 from a graveyard or hand or deck. So now this and the card that we're talking about, the make-believe one, can be like, okay, this is speeder here. So then now you built a bit of resiliency, because normally this is a -1, right? If they ash this, okay, it's fine. The card that's discarded is going to generate me some sort of resource. You know, like, that'd be awesome. So I think I'm hoping that we get something like that. That'd be awesome. And then of course we have Junk Anchor. Junk Anchor, this one, I thought it had a potential, but it's a bit odd actually. But I think this might play another key part in the new structure. Maybe, because it's not bad. So for a Synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any Synchron tuner. So you can make speed with this. Once per turn, you can discard one card, then target one non-tuner junk monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target, and if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon one Synchro monster that mentions a Synchron tuner as a material, using that monster and this card only. These Synchro materials are banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. So this can make speeder. I guess, what if we get like a level 2 junk or Synchro that requires a Synchron? Maybe, but then you don't get the value of this guy because this only gets triggered if it goes to the graveyard. But that's not great. And we tried it in the past of going like this and this. Does that make speeder, right? Maybe if we get some way to summon this somehow and then use its effect, discard a trap that gets value off of being discarded, or it has value while being in the graveyard, like banishing itself to do certain action. But for sure, I'm having hope for this card to get a lot of support for this card, because I think this ties everything together. And then of course we have a Jet Synchron, which is the reason it's here is because this card searches the junk, right? That's why I'm not including any of the other Synchrons, because they're not really applicable. But whereas this one, it searches the junks, right? If it's synchroned with Junkuriboh, I mean, this one's like, I guess it has usage mark, I guess, but like when your opponent activates a card effect that would inflict damage to you, so I guess you can side this in for time, maybe you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So I mean, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I don't know about that one. And then we're gonna move on to the Synchros. Okay, the Synchros are just pretty epic. And this one, there's just no way we're not gonna talk about this card. This card with the quick draw and scapegoat, oh my god, the combo, bro, the combo. Destroy 3, that seems insane. Except the only drawback is that goats you cannot summon anything, right? So it would either be like a turn 3 type of play. You set it, you pass, it survives, or you can use some of the tokens to block an attack, and then on your turn you go quick draw pitch, summon this, Synchro 8, and you pop 3. That was the OG combo, but yeah, it's a bit too slow. So maybe if there's ways to get this guy a lot easier, or maybe what if we get a Synchro that says special junk Synchro from your extra deck, and it's treated as a Synchro summon, right? But then how would this apply? Because then that means you would need the proper materials, right? Because you wouldn't use any materials. So I guess maybe that wouldn't work. Yeah, don't scratch that. That doesn't work. But maybe if there's ways to facilitate this guy, that'd be pretty cool. But then that means you would require junk Synchron. No, but then that's where this guy would come in, right? Because you can summon this guy, and this can be treated as him, and then you can make destroy with this. That would force responses. That's kind of what you want, right? You want to be able to be disruptive and force interaction before you actually initiate and start your combo, right? That's pretty cool. Junk Berserker, this guy saw play briefly for a fair bit. I'm not gonna undermine the efforts that this guy attempted. This guy was pretty cool in some cases because its effect is okay. It requires junk Synchron, of course. course. Level 7, you can banish one junk monster from your graveyard, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses attack equal to the banished monster's attack. So that effect I used for a bit, because it would just banish your junk synchro, and you would make something, if something was too big, you just make it weaker. But the other effect is pretty cool. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks a defense position monster, destroy that monster. That effect, if you compare it with him, see, this card can put defense and you attack with it. It's like if you couldn't out anything, right? You would do it this way, and it was really okay. And of course, Junk Archer. At first, this was the overtake target of choice. Everyone was like, well, I thought about it because it's an interaction and you can make it. You play Junk Synchron, so it's possible to make it. But my issue was your extra deck slots were a bit limited. You had to be very wise with your slot, and it was a bit weird and it was a bit inconsistent in the setups that you were seeing. That it was not coming up as often. It was just a level 7. It was too high. You needed a 4 specifically, so it was much easier to make the Junk Warrior, right? Because all you needed was just this and a 5, and at least you can make this, right? But its effect is pretty cool. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls, banish it. That's smart move. That forces interaction. Like if they have an Omni, if they have something that you want to force an IP, right? You want to force something. This can help you do it. And then banish that monster, returns to the opponent's field during the end phase of this turn. I mean, that didn't matter. You're probably going to be ending the game if you're trying to go for this route. You're going to try to find a way to make that monster irrelevant. It's not going to really affect your setup. And then you have Stardust Assault Warrior. We've never really tried this guy. So it's level 6, 1 tuner plus 1 on-turn monster. So it's very generic. So when this card is Synchro Summon, while you control no other monsters, you can target one junk monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So this guy might see play with the new structure because it specifically mentions junk, and being able to revive junks is kind of what we want to do. So if we can find a way to make this guy with one card and have it be an extender, like being able to revive this and then synchro this, like in turn 3, turn 4, not at the start, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I mean, it'd be cool that we can start our combo with this guy maybe, but then its ability to be able to give it a grind game through converter, because this will revive this somehow, and then maybe you have overtake, and then you synchro with make something, and then you trigger its effect and revive a tuner, like, and then just get some sort of grind game going. I think maybe that would be pretty cool. You can only use this effect of Stardust Assault Warrior once per turn. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing better than. Once again, this has a pair. This guy can put something into defense, and this guy just pierce it. Like, let's say you're low on time or something. I don't know. So maybe this guy can shine with the new support. I didn't really consider it, but now that I'm going over it, I think this might play a key role. Maybe, hopefully. And then of course, you have Junk Gardna. This is the OG. This guy's main role was protect the Herald. If you guys remember from, oh my god, way back when, it would protect Herald. Because normally your end board is Herald, and they would want to go battle phase, attack over the Herald. Hell no, put defense. And because most people don't read this, they don't read card. They get surprised, like, oh, what the hell. This card, all it says is you have a card Junk Synchron. It's an overtake target as well. Once per turn, you can select one monster your opponent controls and change its battle position. This effect can be activated during either player's turn. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can select one monster on the field and change its battle position. So this was a way to out Baguska way back when, because you just synchro climb and you just change the battle position of Baguska. It was pretty silly, but that was a way to do it. And then of course you have these guys. I just put alternate art. This is the overtake target. This is the primary overtake target before we realized that this wasn't it, because it's a lot easier to go overtake, summon this, revive this, synchro into this. This revives any tuner, whether it be Junk itself, and then you can climb into Crystal Wing. It was more convenient, so we ended up going with this guy instead. Like, although these are cool and all, they are cool, but like they're very niche. They're a lot harder to summon, whereas this one is a lot easier. Then of course Junk Speeder. Junk Speeder, just we know Junk Speeder. It just swarms everything. It summons as many Synchrons from your deck, right? And you're locked into Synchro summons, which is fine for a Synchro deck. You don't mind it. Its effect when it battles a monster with the turn that Synchro summon has come up a few times as well, where it just doubles its attack. Pretty funny. And then of course we have cards like Catapult Warrior. I mean, it's not necessarily a junk, but it mentions junk, right? So like, as I mentioned earlier, if we get some sort of monster that benefits off of, I don't know, tributing junks or banishing junks or just getting junks off the field, or if junks leave the field, like, you know, it's because junks is going to the graveyard, meaning they're going to the trash. If that helps trigger something, maybe this can be utilized. So once per turn, you can tribute one junk monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of the tributed monster. So maybe that can be applicable in some case. I'm not too sure. I'm mainly fixated on these cards, these two, and finding ways to get some sort of support for this. And then of course you have access to the junk connector, which is kind of odd because although this prevents us from summoning anything other than synchro, I'm not sure where this is gonna go. Like, unless we get more junk cards that are not synchro based, maybe this can be utilized because its effect is okay, right? So I had 2 effect monsters, warrior and or machine, including a tuner. So it's very specific. Once per turn during the main phase or battle phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon one synchro monster using only materials discard points. So I guess if there's like a spell or a trap or a quick play that can summon junks or synchrons from... Oh, that'd be pretty cool, actually. If we get like a trap or a synchron or a monster that can allow us to summon and then summon to the zones on their turn. So like, let's say we go summon this pass as a conservative play, assuming they stop this somehow. And then we have the new spell or trap, hypothetically, that can summon a junk and a synchron from deck. That means you can summon... Oh, what if we get like a spell that summons a junk and a synchron? That would be converter and junk synchron. That makes speeder. You can make speeder on their turn. That'd be pretty cool. But apart from that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where this goes. I think I'm more so excited if we ever do get one like that, where we summon a junk and a synchron from deck, or summon a junk. What if we summon a junk and a synchron from anywhere? That'd be insane. That'd be a 1-card speeder. That'd be epic as hell. Actually, that's what I want. A 1-card speeder that summons a junk and a synchron from anywhere. That'd be awesome. If this link summon card you control is destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon 1 junk synchro monster from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. So this is kind of like what I mentioned earlier, where we get something that summons a junk from, and it's treated as synchro summon. I guess we can do this. We can go crash this special speeder, effective speeder, this swarm. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we would need some sort of like hand trap that lets you synchro, other than hop here, right? Because this specifically needs a lawn tuner, because this is a tuner. So this summons only tuners. So maybe like, I don't know. I'm not too sure, but that'd be pretty cool if we can get access to that. And then of course you have like these cards. Like these cards are kind of overlooked, but like this trap, when a spell trap card is already face up on your opponent's field, activates the effect, destroy that card. Also after that, set this card face down instead of sending it to the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. You can reuse it. But the other effect is, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 junk monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. This is what I'm referring to. What if we get something that makes this card playable? Or what if we get a junk that sets this? And then we can possibly send this to the graveyard somehow, and then summon back the junk that set this. Or be able to summon back this, be able to summon back this, be able to summon back this, right? Because this summons back any junk. You can target 1 junk monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. You can only use each effect of scrap statue once per turn. So maybe we can use this somehow with the new support, like discard this, summon out this or this, bypassing its ways to summon itself, right? Because this is how we need to promo summon this, or should we summon it? Like that's kind of cool. This is a little bit more easier because you can special it, but I'm not too sure. And then of course we have Scrap Fist. This card is funny. I mean, we've seen a few deck lists on Master Duel where people utilize this. It's not really competitive. It's not competitive, but it's good for content. So target 1 junk warrior you control. If it battles an opponent's monster this turn while you control it, apply these effects. So if we can get a 1-card level 5 synchro that searches this along the way, maybe this can be viable. Think of it like, what's that Utopia spell? Double or Nothing? Where when you're... So basically, the way Utopia does it, where you just use this guy and then you just attack for game. Like, that just seems crazy. Maybe that, in a way, I don't know. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, which is crazy. If it attacks a defensive position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Okay, double any battle damage your opponent takes. Okay, so it cannot be destroyed by battle. Destroy the opponent's monster that battled at the end of the damage step. So it's always gonna get cooked, which is insane. And then we're finally to Overtake. Overtake is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we get some sort of junk synchro. I don't know, an Overtake target, whether it be a new Stardust or a new junk or a new Synchron, something. I feel we need that. Imagine we get a converter Overtake target. That'd be crazy. Or what if we get an Overtake junk giant, or an Overtake junk collector, right? Or an Overtake junk breaker, right? Because that means that gives us access to like a dark ruler, essentially. So things to take away, what I'm hoping for are something to pair with Converter that nets you value as you're sequencing up. If this gets ashed, you're kind of cooked. But if the card that you discarded nets you value, like summon this guy back if it's sent to the graveyard, summon a level 2 Warlord from graveyard or hand deck, and that's the speeder, regardless, right? That's what I want. An upgraded Junk Synchron, a spell or trap, or some form of summoning a junk and a synchron so we can have a 1-card something to be resilient. And then of course a new synchro, a new Overtake synchro. That's what I want the most. I think that's my hopes. And these are the junks, hoping that the support is great, because this is a deck that's near and dear to our hearts, my heart as well, especially. Yeah, what do you guys think? And that's gonna be it. See you guys.